Good morning. I was going to say from my bunker in Berlin, but I think that would probably be in bad taste. But be that as it may, a thought that I've been reflecting on recently is the fact that in so many ways, this year's Pesach is going to resemble the very first Seder night, where we are told, Va'atem lo ysetzu ish mi Pesach beisoi ad boiker. We became a nation. At the moment that we became a nation, Chatzois Laila, on Yud Daled Nisan, going into Tesvav Nisan, at the moment we became a nation, but we were confined to barracks. We were only with our families, and we couldn't step outside. And perhaps this is the first Pesach in history. Since then, 3,332 years ago, where we're in the same situation. We are home, but not alone. And I want to talk about that a little bit in the next few days. But tonight, or today rather, I want to focus on one aspect of that. And if we think about the Seder night, and we think about the fact that this is something that Yidden around the world, whether they are religious or not, tend to do in some way, in some form or another. And we've been doing Seder night for 3,332 years. But there's one element this year that for many of us is going to be missing. As a virtual classroom, raise your hands if you had the zechus to spend a Seder with a grandparent, with a baba, a zayda, umma, opa, sabba, savta, to sit on a grandparent's lap. And if you did, and the statistics are that 80% or so of you will have done so, then you have to realize you are part of an incredibly important chain, a link in the chain of this tradition. Because although Seder night took place, like I said, 3,332 years ago, but if you think that the average age gap between a grandchild and grandparent is 50 years, then if you divide 3,332 into 50, divided by 50, you end up with 66.6, which means that is the number of Seder nights of a Yiddish kind sitting on a grandparent's lap. And that grandparent would have sat on their grandparent's lap. And they would have sat on their grandparent's lap. And 66 Seder nights of a Yiddish kin sitting on their grandparent's lap is all that separates us from the events themselves. That's an amazing thing to think about in and of itself. But this year, for many of us, Einiklach won't be sitting on their grandparent's lap. And that's sad. That is something to think about. I think about my parents in Gateshead, who for the first time in over 50 years will not have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. We ourselves here, we're going to have our married children and our Einiklach, and we're going to be celebrating Seder night, just the two of us. And so many people around the world will be in the same situation. And that's one aspect of our Seder that's going to be missing for so many parents, and for so many grandparents, and for so many people. And that's something to reflect on. We're home, but we're not alone. And we'll talk more about that, perhaps in the days to come. Have a great day.